I said, hail, hail the chat, hail, brethren. All right, let's take a look at some more D&D. That's right, Dungeons & Dragons tabletop RPG. New D&D spell, Silvery Barbs could make shield obsolete. Okay, shield, I'm remembering over here, this deflects magic missile, right? It takes no effect. Isn't that correct, Dan? I got Dan Marshall over here with me. Mr. Dan Marshall, right? Shield, magic missile cannot penetrate, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Shield's one of the classic D&D spells that was created by Jim Ward and crew and Gygax on us and all these guys back in the day. Years and years of balancing. The rules and system for the spell itself was played over and over again relentlessly until it was balanced correctly within the game structure. But no, now we've got Silvery Barbs, which I thought was some kind of Antarctic sexually transmitted disease.
Whoa!
So let me read to you what this does then. It says, Silvery Barbs allows the caster at the cost of their reaction in a first level spell slot to force an enemy to re-roll any d20 roll on which they have succeeded and take the lower result automatically. So it's essentially not penetrating the spell, right? The shield spell, but it is going to make it obsolete as kind of like the go-to first level reaction counter to any magic.
Ah, yes. Okay, so they got a re-roll. I was looking at this lower down on this article over here. So they got a re-roll, and then what else? They get, at the cost of reaction in a first level spell slot, they force the enemy to re-roll d20, like you're saying, and take the low result.
Yeah.
And the caster can then also grant a free re-roll to one of their allies, which they can use on any d20 roll in the next minute. So this could be applied to anything.
So it's doubled, in fact.
Yeah. And this is from Strixhaven, a curriculum of chaos. We're going to prom.
Sounds like a curriculum of OP spells, is what it sounds like to me. Very unbalanced.
So Gattori Hanzo, creator of the world of Ruins of ODYRION, Mr. Dan Marshall, co-creator with him, and Mr. Jim Ward, creator of the game mechanics and, truly inspirational in the essence of creating Ruins of ODYRION. How do you balance gameplay here? What are you guys doing? And apart from that, what do you guys think of this? I mean, is this as OP as it sounds, or am I are my brains addled by too much rum at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially OP. It's a take your replacing shield, and it's actually allowing you to do it. You're actually getting two uses off of it, so it's absolutely OP. I don't know what level this is. We don't have Strixhaven. Well, then there you go. Right?
First level spell slot.
This is this is OP. This is very OP, and I would question some of the game balance that some of these new things have brought in. It just seems like everyone wants to be a superstar at level 1, and so this is just another way to do it, right?
Yeah, you got it.
I think a trend emerging out there, and I think it's something I see other people discussing on Twitter, and in discussion and stuff. I do think an inclination towards towards OP characters. I think the power is in the players' hands. But not just the power, it's almost ridiculous to ridiculous levels. I don't think balancing is even an issue that crosses Wizards of the Coast's mind these days. I really don't think they are actively thinking about it. They're not really interested. I think their thrust is to overpower the lower level characters. But the issue I draw with it is it reduces, again, challenge, risk, competitiveness. This is a game. And in a game, you're meant to compete. You don't go into a chess game and you've instantly won. You don't have a deck of cards that's rigged. Well, you might, but it's less fun and more dishonest. And I feel that's what's been removed from the game itself.
Well, what about the counter to your argument there, Dan? And I'm going to make it, okay, what if I just want to go to prom and I don't want to die, right? I've seen some people talk about this in the video gaming world. They're like, look, you better make a super easy mode for me because I'm just here for the ambiance, okay? You know what I mean? I'm not really I don't want to be pressured. I don't want to jump over platforms. I hate falling into the hole. Like these cute, what do they call their QTs? Quick time reaction. Well, the QTs, you know what I mean? You're sitting there and it's like you're hammering on the keys I'm watching Lara Croft. I'm playing, you know what I mean? And then I'm just like, kid, I just give the controller to my kid and I'm like, play for me because dad's gone. I can't, but I want to watch the game, right? So what if you just
But yeah, I think if people want to play a game in that manner,
right.
then fair enough. I suppose there's options that can be made to do it. But I think to say that the whole game itself is kind of going to be going that way, again, for those people that do want to actually play competitively, and it's not just a LARP, or it's a LARP, but it's a LARP with a challenge and struggle and all those kind of things. Actually compete competitive, you are competing actively within it. You're reducing that audience. I mean, I think the game perhaps can. I mean, if this is an optional spell, if everything is Strixhaven is optional, but I get it. I do get a feeling they are trying to replace a lot of the old and bring in the new. I really do feel that way with Wizards, and I do think their intent is to make it extremely player heavy. And I don't know. I mean, ultimately, players will find out that the game itself. I mean, any one of us, without a set of rules, can sit around a table and pretend we're an owlkin or an elf. You know, there's people who do that in real life. I understand, and good for them. I mean, again, but do you need a set of rules to do that? Do you need a game to actually do that?
Interesting. So what you're telling me is that I can play make believe, but I don't need a set of rules, and I don't need to dumbify. Dumbify is a word, right? I don't need to dumbify current rules to make it less competitive, to make it less interesting, less of a challenge. If I just want to play make believe, right? If I just want to relive my prom night where I lost my cherry.
I think people should have the option, but I think you know, something that people might want to do. I mean, they look at you and I and Gat. We were old school gamers, and there's no doubt that the game has evolved. D&D has evolved, but I do think there's definite avenues for criticism of it as an actual game. It seems to me becoming more of an avenue for sort of cosplay and make believe and pretend. Where there's elements in D&D, but it was always a systems-based game that functioned, was balanced, was competitive, and had challenge. I mean, these guys back in the day when they were putting this system together, spent arduous hours trying to work out the balancing of this thing to make it so nothing was overpowered, but everything had its function and was in its right context, and that things were harder for you at earlier level to inspire you to keep playing, to overcome the challenges, to get to the next level. But here, I you know, with the current game, it gives me the impression that people could just play forever as a first class, you know, level 1. I don't know, Alfkin, whatever.
Firebolt. Yeah. Level 0 cantrips where you're unstoppable, right? Level 0 cantrips that do damage. Now we got something bigger than shield. You got this fellow over here. Think DM, I don't know who this person is, but regardless, this fellow says here, in a since deleted stream, one of D&D's lead designers, I'm guessing this is current WotC lead designers, once said the shield might be the best spell in the game for its level and effect, so a balanced spell should be less good. Where shield reigns over Silvery Barbs is if you know it's going to work. If the attack roll is 5 plus AC, you can shield and the attack will miss. And then we got Silvery Barbs doesn't bring the guarantee, but it might work if the range is greater than 5. I mean, this is it just OP? Is really that what it is? I don't like re-rolls, and this fellow says it. Re-rolls are just boring. I think re-rolls suck. I just don't like that. I don't like where you're, you know what I mean? Where you're sitting there, you know, you get excited, the dice roll, and then you're like, actually, you're gonna re-roll. Actually.
Yeah.
It's revisionist gameplay, but then it's a revisionist spell, so it kind of comes with the territory. But I'm not really in for revisionist looks. I'm in for new ideas, and fair dues to the people who at Wizards in 5th edition who have actually brought something new and something creative. But I do feel the game has evolved into something I struggle to recognize.
You struggle to recognize, yeah. I mean, I don't know. You're giving kudos for something new. You can make anything. You can literally make a clay figurine out of your turd. That's new, but that isn't improved.
Exactly. Yeah, it's there's definitely scope for criticism, and like I say, D&D is essentially a game. It's not a lifestyle brand or anything like that. It's a game, and I think games are meant to be competitive.
Interesting.
I see that competition fading with each product that they kind of release. So, but all the best.
Okay, now you don't look too impressed. Katori Hanzo, you and Dan in Ruins of Adirion, what are you doing here to address some of these kind of complaints of, I would say, making things too easy? Okay, everybody's a superhero, level 0 winner.
We plan to make a difficult game. You know, everything's going to be dangerous, very deadly. People are going to die. You probably should roll 2 characters just to be safe. But as far as game balance goes, we've done nothing yet. But once we do get, we've got the rules solidified. I think Jim said he's finished with combat and he's working on magic now. So once we have some numbers to work with, some stats to plug in, we're going to sit down for months and game test is what we're going to do. And we're going to make sure the game itself is balanced. There's not going to be any one OP character class. There's not going to be any one OP spell. We're going to do this right. I think Jim, one thing you'll learn about Jim is you don't mess with his rules. And so that's all great, well and good. But Jim also knows the best thing about making a good game is it has to be balanced. And so that's why we hired an expert, right? This guy knows it all. But we're going to sit down and we're going to game test it just to be sure. We're going to go and cross all of our T's and dot our I's and make sure this stuff isn't, we're going to pull any Silvery Barb spell right out of there. We're not going to allow it, basically. So, yeah, we're going to do our due diligence, and we're going to make sure this game is 100% balanced.
Mr. Jim Ward. Yeah, wow, man. Working with a legend. That's going to be amazing. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Dan Marshall, Mr. Katori Hanzo. Highly appreciate it. Looking forward to this game by the two of you and Mr. Jim Ward. I can't wait to see this on the shelves. Thank you. Thank you, sirs. And hail.
Hail.